Hello and welcome to another episode of A Fresh Perspective here on Heavenward Thinking. Today we're looking at Luke chapter 15. We're going to look at the first 7 verses. So I'll read it and we'll get right into this week's conversation. Now, the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus. But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." Then Jesus told them this parable. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and goes home. Then he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, "Rejoice with me, I have found my lost sheep." I tell you that in the same way there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. This is a very familiar passage. What can we see here with a fresh perspective?
Well, I like the different versions of this throughout the different Gospels, right? This one says that they leave the 99 in the open field, right? It doesn't say, like, we love to think of the story as he takes the 99 and he puts them in a pen and he makes them all comfy and takes care of them, makes sure that they're all good, and then he goes after the one. Like, that gives us the ability to make sure that we take care of our church and our people and make sure we're okay and make sure everything's okay here, and then we'll go find the lost. This version of it, you get this idea of there's a shepherd out in the middle of a field, right? And he's counting his sheep and goes, "Oh no, one's missing," and he just leaves the 99 right there. Like, he leaves them, so he doesn't put them away safely. Like, it's that important. It is that important to him that he goes and immediately tries to find the one that's lost. And we do not have that mindset in our church today, right? We have the mindset of God takes care of his own first, right? Make sure that everybody's good, and then we'll go take care of the lost. That is a fresh perspective. That's not what this version of it says. Most people skip the Luke version of this story.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. That we as Christians, we like to take care of our own people, our own families, our own churches first, and then we'll go, like you said, then we'll go after the lost. But Jesus, he gives us the sense of urgency here, that it is super important for us to be on mission for the lost, because later in Luke, we're going to see that that's why he came, was to seek and to save the lost. We have to be on mission, just like Jesus, to go after the lost immediately, not make sure everything is in the perfect condition and our churches are perfectly safe and secure and it's the right time to do this. No, we have to be urgent to go after the lost. We need to point people to Christ, go after those who are lost and in their own sinfulness, and point them to Christ.
Yeah, and when he finds the lost, he searches till he finds the lost sheep, and then he puts it on his shoulders, and he carries it back joyfully, right? Again, is that how we are in church? Right? When people come back, and again, the difference here is this is a sheep that was part of the herd, of the flock, right? This is not a sheep that was out around and like, oh, hey, the shepherd just happened to find an extra sheep somewhere around, right? The whole idea here is this is a shepherd that was part of the flock. And Jesus notices, the shepherd notices that he's lost, and guess what? He goes and finds it. This is a totally different concept than what we teach about this. Like, we teach this as the one that's out there is like somebody who's just lost on their own, a wandering sheep that just happens to. No, the shepherd here recognizes he's missing a sheep. This is a sheep within our group, right? So that would be like with you on your small group on Sunday nights. If you notice that somebody hasn't been there 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, then you do something about that, right? Or go and search, like, hey, what's wrong? That's your flock. That's what you do, right? But we get this whole idea that this is somebody who's just totally lost. No, this is somebody who's been part of the flock.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because we often just picture it as someone who's just lost in complete wickedness. We like to group it in with the prodigal son story, someone who's just completely off the deep end. But sometimes it can be, like you said in this story, it seems to be that this is a sheep that was already a part of this flock, already a part of this, and then goes away, wanders away. So what if we were more intentional about reaching the people who have wandered wander away in our churches, in our Christian communities, in our spheres of influence, instead of just going, oh, well, I hope they're all right. I hope they're doing fine. I hope they've come back to Jesus. What if we actually intentionally went and tried to do something about it? Because that seems to be what Jesus is trying to say here, that we need to be on mission to reach these people, to go after them, and then to celebrate when they come back. And I think that's something that we do a poor job of in churches today, is celebrating and rejoicing when lost people come back to Christ.
Well, we're so concerned that they're going to go be lost again and cost us, right? This costs the flock. The flock is left by the shepherd, right, to go find this one. But it shows us the heart of the shepherd, right? It shows us the heart of Jesus, which is that there's going to be more rejoicing in heaven over one lost sheep coming back, right? Like, that's a concept that we just don't have. We have the concept that heaven's rejoicing that, well, 99 were saved, 99 are good. And heaven rejoices, right, when you gain a brother back, according to Matthew 18, when it's lost, and then Jesus finds them. And we desperately need to have that concept, right? That Jesus does go out. He leaves the 99 to find the one. We just want to discard the one and say, oh, look, you caused us a lot of problems. You caused us a lot of trouble. So we aren't going to have anything to do with you.
Yeah, we don't see that at all in here. We don't see that at all in Jesus' teaching. He is always going after the lost. He's always going after the ones who everyone else would go, well, we don't really care. We have the 99. Why would we care that one's missing? At least we have 99. Like you said, we often get excited that 99 people are doing the right thing. But Jesus says here that there's going to be more rejoicing over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. And so if heaven rejoices when the sinner comes back to Christ more than when the 99 people don't need to, well, then we should probably take that principle and realize that this is super serious to Jesus. This is super important that we go after the lost, that we take a risk like the shepherd did here, leaves the 99 in the open country, like you said, not in a pen, but in the open country, and goes after the one. Are we willing to take some risks, be intentional, go after those who maybe the rest of the people wouldn't go after? Are we willing to do that and be like Jesus?
Yeah, I love the shepherd's words here. I have found my lost sheep. Right? Like that is what God is all about, right? And again, this is all in the context of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. We're complaining because Jesus was eating with the least of the least, but those are all his sheep, right? The Jewish people were all his, and now that's to us, right, as well. Like that Jesus isn't looking at people and saying, what a terrible, rotten, awful person you are. Jesus is looking at people and saying, I need to find you. I need you to. I need to bring you back. But again, my biggest concern about all this is that we have flocks that don't want the one back. That even if Jesus goes out of his way to find the one, right, and calls everybody to celebrate, you got 99 sheep who have decided, yeah, no, we don't want the one back. So what's going to happen to that one again? Right? They're going to go off. Right? It's more likely in our culture today that the lost one is lost because of some kind of a response of the church. Right? Something that has happened inside the church than outside of the church.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned that point, because that's how this whole story starts, with these Pharisees and teachers of law, the religious people who would be like many of us in churches today, the righteous people, or people who think they're righteous. They don't like the fact that these tax collectors and sinners are all gathering around Jesus, that he's welcoming them, and he's even eating with them, which is super significant in that culture at that time of welcoming people. They don't like that, and like you said, that's probably similar to a lot of us in churches today, where we don't care about the lost. We just care about ourselves. We hope that Jesus just makes our lives easy, and that he just rewards us for all the great things we think we've done, but he doesn't want us to look at people that way. He wants us to be on mission, just like the shepherd, where we are excited when people come back to Jesus. There's this whole idea of a celebration here. There's rejoicing. It's a shepherd coming back and calling his friends and neighbors together and asking them to rejoice with him. Will we be like that? Will we rejoice just like heaven does when one sinner comes back, repents, turns their lives over to Christ.
Yep.
Well, I hope you've been challenged and encouraged by this, and you'll join us next time for another episode of A Fresh Perspective here on Heavenward Thinking.